Good morning, Apollo Baptist Church. It is Monday morning. It is June 15th. And I want to direct your attention to Psalm 121. Our reading plan right now is in Psalm 120 through 124. And they are short Psalms, especially in comparison to Psalm 119 that was forever long. So I want to direct your attention to Psalm 121. These Psalms in this section are called the Psalms of Ascent. The Jewish people would make a pilgrimage to the city of Jerusalem approximately 3 times a year, some more, some less. But anyway, they would go there often. And they would celebrate their God in the city of Jerusalem, and they would travel there and look forward to this celebration in order to honor and worship and serve their great God. Well, you would think, since it is a pilgrimage that is going to the city of God, that it would be easy. It's going to honor God. It ought to be just guaranteed that it'll be no problem at all. But it was really just the opposite. And so the Psalms of Ascent are designed to encourage the pilgrim. And I believe that we Christians are pilgrims in a very similar way. We're not necessarily going to the city of Jerusalem, but we are walking, following our great God. And as their journey was not easy, so our journey is not easy. You see, going to Jerusalem was tough because Jerusalem was in the mountains, up high on the peaks, and so if you're going to go there, you had to climb. You had to climb through the difficult areas of the mountain terrain, and the pilgrims would get tired. The pilgrims would face difficulties with their own strength and weaknesses and frailties. But they would also face the difficulties that were embedded in those mountain trails. Sometimes there were robbers in the mountain trails. Sometimes the false pagan shrines were in those mountainous areas. And they would deal with the temptations to follow those along the way. And so Psalm 121 says, I will lift up my eyes to the mountains. From where shall my help come? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. Well, you know that first phrase, I will lift up my eyes to the mountains. As I have read that through the years, I've always thought, oh yeah, those majestic mountains, those beautiful mountains that you just look at and say, oh, God is so great. Oh, look how beautiful they are. Yeah, well, that's the difference between looking at a majestic mountain and climbing a majestic mountain. When you're climbing a majestic mountain, you look up at that mountain and you go, I don't know if I can make it. You look up and say, I am so tired, I cannot take another step. You look up at that mountain and you say, I am so discouraged. I don't have what it takes to go any further. And look how much higher the path goes. You know what? Walking with God is very much like that. Sometimes we take off like no one's business. But before long, we have family issues, we have addiction issues, we have relationship issues, we have society issues, we have COVID-19 issues, we have racism issues, we have all kinds of issues, and the road is rough and it's difficult, and we think, I don't have what it takes. And you know what? That's true. You don't, I don't, no one does. And the pilgrim going to Jerusalem didn't either. And so he says, I lift up my eyes to the mountains. From where shall my help come? Good question. How am I going to get the help I have to need in order to climb this mountain? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not allow your foot to slip. That doesn't mean you won't have difficulties. He's just going to get you there. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. Our God is able, and he never takes a day off. You know, one of my favorite verses is in Philippians chapter 1, verse 6. For I am convinced of this very thing, that he who began a good work in you will continue it until the day of Christ Jesus. If you're a Christian, God has begun a great work in you, and you're on a pilgrimage with him, and it's not easy, and it is wrought with difficulties. But you know what? Our God is able, and he who began a good work in you will continue it until the day of Christ Jesus. I want to encourage you with that today. No matter what you're going through, the difficulties, the discouragement, God is able. Let's look to him together. He will get us there.